how we traveled around and worked. Back to the first story, I went up there to do narwhals. After 3.5 months, the film review was nothing usable yet. And on the last calm day, John Ford came in. He said they've got, these narwhals are doing something different. These are 16-foot toothed whales with up to a 10-foot tusk going out the front. And there were two subadult males, maybe 7-foot tusk, and a dying and dead female. And group after group of other big whales were coming in, big narwhals were coming in. The idea was to try and get in the water, and after a bunch of tries, including trying to talk yourself into it, we're out there in canvas kayaks, and these tusks are coming up all around you. Finally got in, and that's the female's on top, and there's this big fight, like a fight in a pool hall down beneath, and one of the young ones comes up and puts his tusk very close in front for a very, very short time. And again, you can feel the sonic clicks as it went off again. But these are the pictures. They really made it for Geographic. But we were seeing all kinds of cool stuff. Beluga whales along the edge there. Beautiful water, 400-foot visibility. So it's tremendous water. It's really dark, and it's 29.5 degrees, but it's really clear. First pictures ever taken of bowhead whales, the big whales up there. And this is 1994 when bowheads became friendly. We think. This is Carrie Finley in the boat, and the first year we had outriggers, and actually this whale held his tail over Carrie and his pectoral fin over Carrie, and then he came up under Carrie. I didn't get those other pictures because I was on the head of the whale at that time. But it was really, really cool. They quit leaving. On the years before, anytime you made any noise, when you hit a piece of ice, if you hit the side of your kayak with an oar, they would just leave. And this year, for some reason, they started not leaving. The 7 years BC. Chris makes really good pizza. By the 90s, we were getting into issues, and things were changing. You'd gone from whales as monsters, whales as commodity, whales as myth and magic, the scientific study, but now we're getting more and more interaction stories as we went along. And one of the really great gurus of early whale science was at UC Santa Cruz, just south of here, Dr. Ken Norris. If you can't read this, Old Age and Treachery Will Overcome Youth and Skill. And he's giving a lecture to a bunch of young graduate students on the dance of the sugar spam fairy right here. We did 2 stories, one on belugas and one on dolphins. It was like traveling with a rock star. He didn't mind causing trouble, but he was always a kick. We looked at dolphins the same way, looking at all the different ways, and many different kinds of boats. My longtime assistant, Mike Bennett, the only boat we could get was a pedal boat, and dolphins would still ride the bow. This is the semi-submersible seasick machine. These guys figured a way to put a tube down in the water and travel with dolphins and shoot. Back to what we tried to do with the hang gliding system years ago, but it worked much, much better. This is John Ostman. And mainly we tried to look at dolphins and all the different kinds there were, giving you a picture that they're more than one thing and more than one set of needs. Photography was changing at the same time. We talk about painting with light. Probably the first 10 years shooting whales and dolphins, any picture in the middle in focus was a good whale picture because it was all new. As time went along, this is a long exposure with a strobe pop trying to show motion, and the situation kept changing. My good friend David Dubley at National Geographic said there's only 2 pictures to take. Something new or something old in such a new way that it's new again. And if you weren't doing that, you were just wasting your time. The study, there's a woman named Denise Herzing, has a book called Dolphin Diaries, just out too. It's wonderful. For 25 years she's worked with these wild dolphins off the Bahamas. And then back to the Amazon River dolphins. These are in a small lake. They were put in there to control the piranha. They ate them all very quickly and then had to be fed. But only clear enough to shoot them early in the morning. And my friend Mike Bennett and I would go down in the morning, and the only way, there are 2 of them. So one, you'd be in front of you, and the other would be sneaking up on you all the time. And you had to shoot with your arms down, because you put your arms up, like I'd usually shoot, they bite you in the armpit, which is not good. So this is waiting for him to come in and bite Mike. So I'd stand next to him, the dolphin would come in and bite him, I'd get a few pictures, and that worked for 2 mornings, and then Mike went on strike. It's so interesting how we meet these animals, and that became more and more of the story. We have a fascination. This is Monkey Maya in Australia. This is an experiment with Randy Wells, who introduced Chris and to Jim and I, and he's a suction cup so you can coordinate what dolphins are doing and what they're saying, trying to figure out what dolphin language means, and they've worked on this for decades. The problems with pollution, all the issues were more and more the way to go, but at the same time we'd go and look in the wild and going, one of the good things for animals is to be where there's lots of food and not too many people. This is a place in the high Arctic, there are probably 1,000 belugas in an area the size of a football field. We went to Japan, we covered, this is 1992 when the story came out, we covered fisheries for porpoises in northern Japan, went to the Cove, went to the Gulf of Mexico because there were animals washing in way before BP. One of the big issues being studied here at Texas A&M was, why are these animals washing in? You had that question like, well, you tell me where the bad guy is and I'll take this frozen dolphin and take a picture of it. And they said, so many bad things here we don't know what the problem is, but they know there's a problem. And, I mean, it's not where you expect dolphins to be having a good time, but that's where they are. This is rescuing harbor porpoise from a fishing weir in eastern Canada. But the biggest thing, if you're talking about whales today, if you're talking about whaling today, you're talking about minke whales. And actually, in the front row this evening is Dr. John Stern, who's one of the world experts and a very, very cool guy that I work with. So these are his animals, and these are the ones that get a lot of attention. Because if you're talking about the Norwegian hunt or the Japanese hunt, these are the animals you're talking about. And it's tough stuff. This is a Norwegian fishing boat that takes a few whales during the whale season. I was a journalist. I did everything I could to get on this boat and tell their side of things. And the captain and his family were hard-working, sort of nice folks, but they killed whales. And finally he said I could come along. He said I could come along and tell their story. I just had to promise that what I did, those pictures I took, wouldn't hurt him or his family or his community. And I couldn't go. And looking at this stuff from the different places, there are complex questions and cultural stuff in it that make it really, really interesting to do. I always think what my grandfather said was that life was a game of chess where people think they're playing checkers. It's, the whale politics is very much that way. This is the oldest whaler in Taiji, and where the Cove is. This was taken in 1991 in Hosono-san. His first trip to the Antarctic, he went down because the U.S. First Fleet took him. They bought him the boats, they took him down there, they said, look for whales here. And he's, you know, a little confused at the changes of things. They realize it's going to stop. I hope whaling is going to stop. I think all the evidence is it's going to stop, but it's a complicated thing. Young people aren't interested. In Norway, in Japan, I think it's going away. And we whale. We're a whaling country. The U.S. is a whaling country, and you have to know that going in. These are bowhead whales. This is Barrow, Alaska. There's science done on the whales, but we take whales every year. Right now, one of the big political discussions was protecting whaling rights for Inupiat in northern Alaska. Eugene Brower, he's an emergency medical technician in Barrow, and he runs a whale camp. And his father, in the 70s, when they said there weren't whales there weren't enough whales for a hunt, because of the endangered species list, went to Cornell University, and they had a way of counting whales you couldn't see. And this wraps up this part of things, because the young man, the researcher in the green jacket, sitting there is Sam Payne, Roger Payne's son. I know for a fact he's against whaling and doesn't ever want to see a whale die, but he wanted the science to be right. He wanted the numbers to be right when the decisions were made. And those are the people I work with. It's not the political part of things, but the science part of things. These are beaked whales. There's all kinds of strange whales out there and strange things to do. We went back to do whales in Hawaii in 1976. There are now 20,000. We were 2,000 when we started in 79. There are now 20,000 whales in the North Pacific, growing at about 7% a year. It's a great success story. We still see Frank. We saw Frank in 97. In 2009, we saw him this year. He's still a male singing. We still don't know exactly what it means, but we know it's not calling females. We have a graduate student, just got her PhD, Megan Jones, who said after 30 years of looking at males, if you're studying reproduction biology, maybe someone should look at females. So she came in to do that work and just got her PhD, and we put them together, these females without calves. This is a very friendly escort. This is the cover of the book. These friendlies that come up, and he's supposed to keep an eye on you, but he's just as nice and easy to work with as he could possibly be. And this is an escort that's going about 3 times as fast as the other one, and I think he's going to cut me in half with that pectoral. I'm saying at this point, if you don't kill me, I promise I'll leave, and our new motto will be, when the going gets tough, you'll find us at Chemo's. Whales are big, powerful, interesting animals. And I think like people can be poets or people can be mass murderers, whales, you get them all over the map and they're like strange dogs. You really want to look at them and see what they're doing, but they're endlessly fascinating. This is a female with a bunch of males around. There's no fighting here. All these males are on the same side. What we think the song is now is actually coordinating groups of males to work together to be around a female to get their champion in. When you see these big batches of males chasing a female, it's not a free-for-all. It's like the Tour de France. You know, there's a bunch of bikes out there, but only a few that might actually win the game.